So I've got a new addition to this tank. Should be very happy in there. Plenty of room to swim around. Come on, don't drop anything in there today, guys. So I haven't seen this tank for a very, very long time. Tin foils look very good. The cichlids are breeding like absolute crazy. So many cichlids in here. Oscars look to be loving life. Because of all the reflection, I can't actually see in that well. And we're gonna put the diver in there tomorrow. Hello, Mr. Perch. Hopefully Mr. Perch will eat some of these baby fish because we're getting way too many baby fish in here. Everyone's checking him out. Whenever you add a new fish, he's got to find his position in the hierarchy. Just a big jaguar there. We'll want to have something to say about this. So a fish like this perch, if placed in a small aquarium, can be very aggressive and territorial. Yet in a big tank like this, normally won't cause you any trouble at all, because the aggression is very much dispersed through so much space and so many other fish. It's always fun watching a new fish go in, watching the interaction between the other ones, seeing how he's going to work in the pecking order. Oh, we've got some breeding behaviour going on down here. We've got a big male red devil flower horn and a little female down there. The female's the red one. And they're building a nest. So you can see there the nest. And they'll try to produce some more babies. Hey mate, how have you been? You been good? Hey dudes. This guy loves dropping things in this fish tank. Alright, well everyone seems pretty happy. And funny enough, big tanks are very, very easy to look after. A big tank like this is so stable that typically nothing goes wrong. That's not true, but basically, when you have a smaller aquarium, particularly if it's higher populated, it's going to require a lot more attention. So here you can see a airline which is just injecting a lot of oxygen into the tank. Now as far as the fish are concerned, this is completely fine, but you can find that this is a little bit noisy. So a lot of people will put an air stone on the end of the airline, and that will disperse the water like that, and therefore it'll be a lot quieter. Probably doesn't make too much difference as far as the results are concerned, but it does definitely make the airstone much more quiet because it'll be well dispersed and it'll be not blob blob blob. Whereas this, though works effectively and has no resistance, it can be very blob blob blob, which can be frustrating and a little bit noisy. Been here for a while, and a very interesting observation is the water level has obviously been here because that's where the algae line is, so it's actually very low. The other thing that's quite interesting is that the heater has been dropped right down, so I don't think that was on purpose. I think it's actually fallen down, particularly if it was out of the water. So there's the heater, which was up here, and now it's down there, and the water level's here. I have no explanation for that, and it's okay. It's very interesting. So obviously the tank hasn't been topped up for a long time because it's obviously sat at that height, and if the heater was up, that would have concerned me. But as the heater seems to have fallen down, I'm not real worried. Very, very interesting. It's funny when things happen and you just have no explanation. I even came across a tank yesterday at a hospital, and absolutely no one seemed to have any idea who cleans the tank. And yet it was actually in quite good condition. That's a new one. So in a perfect world, I'd love to remove a lot of these fish. The tank is very, very overpopulated, particularly for the limited amount of filtration that's actually on this aquarium. Silver dollars would be getting on, they'd be pretty old. Getting a whole heap of more catfish would be a very good idea. They'd really help to keep this algae cleaner. I've got lots of large Plecostomus in at Majestic aquariums at the moment. And chucking a bunch of them in would be absolutely ideal just to help keep the tank a bit cleaner. There's just so much to watch in this tank. It is due for a big overhaul though. What I mean by a big overhaul is get underneath the rocks, give it all a good clean. Swap some fish around. Perch sure is cool. These perches are going to be very happy in here. He's a donation because we had him at Majestic Aquariums and he was too big for anyone else's tank. So I popped him in here so he could live a nice, happy, healthy life with plenty of space. He's a good looking fish. Australian native. He'll find his hierarchy in here. A few of the cichlids will want to knock him around a bit until they show him who's boss and he finds his position. Never guaranteed to work, but I think it's very likely to. So cool having a swimming pool in the background. So this tank is running at 27 degrees. And if you're ever going to have a tank relied on something like an air pump, I will say that it's a very, very good idea to have a spare one. Particularly if you did have a lot of money's worth of fish. Something like a big air pump isn't something that isn't always readily available. And if you did have a spare one, it sort of means that you'll never need it. On the other hand, if you don't have a spare one or don't have access to a spare one, then that tends to be when you need it, and you tend to need it at the least convenient time ever. Back up, back up, back up. Sometimes you have to be a little bit MacGyver style. Now, because this tank hadn't been filled up, I actually couldn't reach the water to grab a water sample. So I devised this little device which just allowed me to dangle the hose down and get some water. Cop that, MacGyver. Young people wouldn't even know who MacGyver is. I've just given the water a test, and what I've come up with is there's no ammonia, there's basically no nitrite, there's no nitrate, pH is nice and alkaline, KH is about 5, and my only concern is that the GH is pretty much 0. So I'm going to raise the GH level, and the GH will really help the fish's body slime, help their immune system, and you know, there is a little bit of, I mean, like this fella's eye, stuff like that, it's going to help out. It's really important that you are aware of your GH, KH and pH. So in this case, I'm just going to raise the GH a little bit, which will add various salts and things and will be very beneficial. So when you raise the GH, you tip it in, then a day or two later, it's worth testing again and altering it until you end up getting the level right. In a tank like this, I'd sort of want a minimum of GH of 8, more like sort of 12 would be better in this tank. This perch is loving life. Compared to the little tank at the shop he's been living in for a while. He's in paradise now. Fish that get let go in this tank is like getting let go in heaven.